It's Monday, March 24th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central. This is show number 935, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Get 32% off at GoDaddy or pick up a domain for $2.95. All my specials can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Hey, folks, got a great show lined up for you tonight. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
No.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There's no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Showtime.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran. I want to welcome you all to the show. Got a great show lined up for you tonight. This is going to be absolutely a fantastic podcast. I think we just had something going on with the video switcher. It was like video overlaying video. That was kind of weird. But hey, everyone, welcome. And if you're a longtime listener or viewer of the show, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of the family. And thanks for saying subscribed. And lots going on here at the Cochran household. We'll share with you in just a few minutes. But if you're brand new, what's going on with the switcher? Let's see if we can do this again. There we go. If you're brand new to the show, we want to make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all the great content on the website. We're going to be starting to ramp up for NAB with a lot of NAB type content. So we're going to be talking about pro gear, software, a lot of stuff that comes really kind of basically on the kind of a podcast type gear stuff side, along with the regular tech stuff. So just keep advised of that when we start pumping stuff to the guys on the team and ladies on the team here in a few days. At the same time, we've resumed, I guess, for a better word, regular blogging on the website. And Trucker Tom's got an article up on a messy Apple divorce story, so you guys can check that out. So a lot more content's going to be coming up on the site in the coming days. But one thing I do want you to make sure is while you're over at the website, get subscribed to the show. There's a real easy box there in the second column of the website that shows you some options for getting subscribed. You want to get on the newsletter as well. That way you can get all of the show notes delivered directly to your inbox immediately following the show. So get subscribed to the newsletter. That's really is going to keep you in touch and basically keep you reminded that there's a new show that'll be available for you to check out. Of course, you can reach me on Twitter at Geek News, or you can email me at geeknews@gmail.com. Follow me on G+ or on Facebook. Those links will be on the show notes tonight, so follow that along. And, of course, you can watch us on the Tech Podcast channel on the Roku, Boxy, Samsung Smart TV, Google TV, Chromecast. So definitely check out Geek News Central. And, of course, check out the Tech Podcast Network at techpodcast.com. Hey, tonight's show, of course, is sponsored in part by our good friends over at GoDaddy.com. And really, GoDaddy's got some great deals for you this month. And, I really do love how they put stuff together on a regular basis and really provide you for a better word, a plethora of new codes. And we've been doing some tweaks to the GoDaddy promo code page. Largely because we're trying to get Google a little bit more, I guess for better words, we've dropped a few spots in the ranking as far as search terms go, so we're trying to work that a little bit. But all the codes are on this page. 32% off by using the promo code GO32OFF1. 25% off your order also is available. The discount includes new top-level domains. So if you want to save some money on those new TLDs, use the 25% off code by using the promo code GO25OFF5. GO25OFF5. Of course, 50% off new hosting plans, 50% off website builder, $295.com. And of course, we've got our 10% off on the new Found product. Get found by folks online by using the Found product over at GoDaddy. And 10% off on those products and services, so definitely check that out. And, of course, don't hesitate at all to visit GoDaddy. And you're going to find banners on the website that's going to present to you deals. And, just clicking on those will take you over and lock in your code over at GoDaddy. And this is really a great way to save money and get yourself a point of presence that extends your business. Allows you to speak on topics that you're passionate about. Everyone should have their own domain. Everyone should have a hosting account. Everyone should have a blog. Really, we're at that stage, and my kids now are starting to blog. My daughter is, my son. We're just kind of getting them going, and we're going to have some talk about that later on the sites that they're launching. But really, it's an opportunity for you to express yourself. And one thing I like about an online presence is if you're older, it's a great way to document things going on in your life and have it on a property that you own. By owning your own .com, that's yours as long as you continue to pay the subscription every year. You can pay for 10 years in advance, so you pay for the next 10 years. And the hosting accounts, you can set them up to automatically renew. But definitely check out GoDaddy, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy, all the promo codes. And we want you to get online with GoDaddy. And I use the products myself. All my domains, my hosting accounts are all over at GoDaddy. And we want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here at the show. We're fast approaching, can you believe this? 9 years will be July of 2014. And then 10 years will be, obviously, a year from now. But, almost 9 years supporting the show, which is really, if you think about it, pretty incredible here month after month. Allowing me to do what I want to do and keep the lights on and keep my family fed and everything else. So we want to thank GoDaddy for being a sponsor here at Geek News Central. All right, so let me go ahead down my little stack here. Stuff I just want to quick talk about tonight before we get into the full content. And I do have a full lineup of stuff, but I do have to just say real quickly, tonight my wife absolutely outdid herself. We've been experimenting over the years in cooking Thai food, and with mixed results. And here in Hawaii, we're pretty lucky because we're able to get pretty good ingredients. So when I came home tonight, I smelled the smell that of tom yum soup, and we had she had bought some salmon fillets at Costco. We had some cabbage that she'd cooked. Some bread the neighbor had given us, and this tom yum soup that was just incredible. I mean, it would get any of you that are Thai out there, I will put her tom yum soup up against some of the best I've had. We got done, and I told her, I said, honey, that was a $50 a plate meal. You knocked it out of the park. I just have to, I'm not a skinny guy, folks. And I attribute it mostly to my own consumption of food, but my wife has sure helped me a lot with absolutely having fantastic grinds on an ongoing basis. She really did out there. So I just had to say it because I'm still thinking about it. But anyway, sorry to share a food moment with you, but just had to do so. So anyway, I hope you guys watched the New Media Show this past Saturday with Rick Calvert from New Media Expo, or NMX Live. Rick was on, the gracious host, talked about some things he was concerned about from the previous show. Announced also that looks like the New Media Expo is going to be moving to NAB. The time frame around NAB in 2015. So pretty excited to hear him announce that. And that was really kind of the breaking news of the show. So we look forward to seeing where Rick takes the show and how it's going to be integrated or butted up against, or however it's going to work. But that was a great show, great hour-and-a-half discussion with Rick. Working on our guests for this coming Saturday. We don't have one yet, but we'll let you know. Those of you that are insiders, I had a couple of emails come in. Folks, if you're an insider, all you got to do to get through to Sam. Sam is our basically our insider manager. He's waiting and willing and ready to help you at insider@geeknewscentral.com. Just drop him a line, tell him that you're an insider, make sure you're on all the mailing lists and on the insider site. And of course, those of you that aren't insiders, don't worry, you can follow me on the G Plus page for Geek News Central as well. Facebook, everywhere else. But we definitely want to thank all of you that are insiders out there and supporting the show. It's greatly appreciated. Now, one thing I am kind of wanted to talk to you tonight about is we're only 65 episodes away from show 1000. And I'm kind of doing the math in my head, and I'm thinking, okay, this is April 24th. That's this is March 24th. There's generally 8 shows a month. So that's going to put us out to April, May, June, July, August, September, October, maybe early November. So it really depends where we're going to hit the 1,000 mark. And I know that I'm going to take 2 shows off in July, a small mini family vacation to the West Coast. So it all depends on how the count goes. I'm thinking about doing something here in Hawaii. Now, I'd like to come to mainland where all you guys are at, but I'm going to put the word out here. Are any of you interested in coming to Hawaii for a couple of days of fun that will surround show 1000? And I've got to have a sizable number that would like to come out and hang out and just be part of the ohana, be part of the family that you are, and kind of have like a little family reunion, Geek News Central style, here in Hawaii for show 1000. I figure that in order to make it really kind of happen, and I know that being in Hawaii, it's a little more difficult because, I am about 5,000 miles away from a lot of you. But if you think this is something you may want to do, come out to Hawaii and do a little vacation, spend a little money here, see the sights, but maybe spend a day and a half hanging out with me and my family, and we'll pick a hotel and we'll do the show together at a location yet to be determined. So if you think this is something that may interest you and you want to come out, this is a big deal. This will be 10 years, a little over 10 years of podcasting. And, this show started in October of 2004. So we're probably going to be into early November by the time show 1000 hits. So take it under consideration. And if you think that you may be interested, email Sam at Insider@Geek News Central. Say, hey, I'm considering coming. And Sam will keep a count of where we're at numbers-wise. And I know we can pull some bodies from here in Hawaii. We've got some folks that listen to the show here. So we should be able to come up with a nice group to be able to do something cool, hang out together. I can get some discounts on hotels, and we can work all that stuff. So let me know if you're interested. And I'll talk about this on a couple more shows, twist your arm a little bit. And there's lots of great things here to see in Hawaii, and I will definitely act as tour guide and whatever. We can have a lot of fun. So if you think about it a little bit, think if you want to come out to Oahu and hang out with me and my family for show 1000. It is a big deal, and I'd love to have you here and be your host. Not pay for your airline or hotel bill, but have you guys out and show you how we do it here, the local kind. And we'd love you have it under consideration. So we'll talk about more of it as we move into later shows. And we'll get a date locked down. I'll kind of plan out. I won't be able to miss a day, or I'll have to make up. So we make sure we're hitting 1,000 when everyone's here, obviously. So that's kind of what's going on. Absolutely insane weekend here in the household. Things were from morning until night, both days, just slam full. So back right on the grind here on Monday, just turning and burning. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on here, and I'll get into the regular content tonight for the podcast. And again, if you're new to the show, we do this kind of at the beginning. We kind of just wrap it down, do a little talk story. That's what we do here in Hawaii, is we talk story and just share a little bit. All right, let me go ahead and bada bing, bada boom. Let's close that, and let's move into. I'm going to talk a little bit about AT&T, but I definitely want to talk about this whole wage scam. And we know that there was a pact made amongst a number of companies that basically would not go after employees. They wouldn't actively recruit. And really what it ended up being was the companies were trying to suppress engineer salaries. That was the main goal. And they were trying to keep engineers from rising up in the income salary as they probably should have. These companies have made billions of dollars. They have their stockholders very happy, but yet they're trying to suppress even their top people that worked with them's salaries. And this is, if you really think about what they did, it's absolutely anti-American. It's obviously illegal. There's going to be all kinds of settlements come out of this, and they're going to be paying a lot of money. But what happens to those employees? Are they going to make up those lost wages? No. But there was a comment today made by Facebook. Facebook's chief operating officer, Sheryl Sandberg, has claimed her company rebuffed Google's attempt to form a pact that would have suppressed engineer salaries. According to her written testimony to a U.S. court, obtained and published today by CNBC, Sandberg said she met with Google executives who were, it is claimed, keen to stop Facebook from luring Google employees with promises of fatter paychecks. Sandberg wrote up and told the district court in California she declined the request to limit job offers. She says these alleged no poaching or no compete deals are at the center of an ongoing case in the San Jose court in which big-name tech firms, of course we know, stand accused of informally colluding to limit the hiring of employees away from rivals. And Apple, Google, Intel, Adobe, Intuit, Pixar, and Lucasfilms were named in a class action lawsuit in 2011 by disgruntled engineers who allege, again, that as far back as 2005, the tech giants had, at the urging of Apple co-founder Steve Jobs, agreed to an unofficial set of rules that discouraged the companies from recruiting each other's employees. So if this case reaches a full jury trial, jury selection will begin on May 27th, and we're going to be talking a lot about this. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. Do you guys think that these companies are going to settle? And if they do, are we ever going to see the settlement amounts? Or do you think this is going to go to a jury trial? I don't think these companies are going to allow this to go to a jury trial. I think they are going to shut it down by settling out of court. I really think that's going to happen. And I think they're going to write a big check. Don't get me wrong. But I really think it's, if you really think about that, and the collusion that is being, put forth, it really is discouraging. And, I'm sure this goes on a lot of other places. Only time will tell if more of this type of stuff comes out. But, keeping their best employees wage limited just to try to control cost is pretty incredible when they're all ratcheting, multi-billion dollar revenue profits per quarter. It's not like they're losing money. The majority of these companies are doing very well, and their top engineers, that have been basically denied higher pays because of this collusion. I hope they're written huge checks. I hope these companies are punished significantly, that no one will ever do this again. And time will tell. But it is an ongoing thing here, and we'll keep you addressed as we fast approach the trial date. But it is interesting that Facebook has said this. And of course, there's allegations all over the place about multiples of companies that have done this. So nothing like a good high-tech hiring conspiracy. And it's interesting to see what Facebook has had to say here. Now, if you use your mobile phone for anything, you should be using it for traffic alerts. Well, Google, search on Android, is now warning you when traffic grinds to a halt. Now, I've been using the application Waze, W-A-Z-E, both on my Android devices and on my iOS devices, and absolutely love the application. It's just absolutely fantastic. But your Android phone can now warn you when traffic is likely to crawl to a standstill on the drive home or to an appointment. It gives you notifications of roadwork, accidents, and other incidents, which may create delays. An alert system won't be as slick as having your own traffic drone, but it should help you find an alternate route before you get caught up in gridlock. Here in Hawaii, there's no... if it's gridlock, it's gridlock. There's just only a couple of corridors to go from the west side to the east side. In an island, it's not like there's 5 different ways and 25 different side streets to go on. It doesn't happen. When it's bad, it's really, really bad. But keeping me advised if you start using this more and how it's working out for you. I'm definitely going to be playing with it a little bit on my Android tablet to really see how it works when I'm taking the kids to school and all that, and if it gets good warnings. And I'm sure it's following your calendar. Interesting to see how it's going to tie in, if it knows, how does it know where you're going? That's the key that I haven't fully figured out yet. But again, Google search and Android now warns you when traffic grinds to a halt. All right, I really have to laugh at AT&T. AT&T has come out and just absolutely double-barrel shotgun the Netflix CEO. And it was this almost like the AT&T made this comment almost like, how dare you try to insinuate that we're being trolls and charging a toll, which they are. Comcast, they were to deal with Comcast, but we're going to talk a little bit about that deal here in a few minutes. But AT&T is basically promising to lower your internet bill if the FCC kills net neutrality. AT&T, let me say this again. If this isn't a whopper, AT&T promises to lower your internet bill if the FCC kills net neutrality. So if you're an AT&T home internet customer, they just made a promise that I'm sure that they will follow through on. They didn't say how much they're going to lower your bill. Probably $1, 50 cents, quarter, because they're not going to give you very much money back. But he says this is how AT&T is. How they spend things a little bit here. It says AT&T wrote, allowing individualized dealings between ISPs and edge providers is sound policy for a number of reasons. By enabling smaller edge providers to negotiate special arrangements for the handling of their traffic. Now, this is edge providers would be Netflix. Flexibility, net neutrality will empower startups to compete more effectively against more entrenched and well-heeled rivals. And by enabling ISPs to recover the cost of network upgrades, not just from consumers, but also from the edge providers, Netflix, whose applications benefit from such upgrades. Flexible rules will also promote deployment of additional broadband infrastructure and improve features. They will also reduce the cost of broadband services for consumers, facilitating greater adoption. If that isn't the biggest line of bullcrap that I think I've ever heard in my life, what it is, again, you need to get on the phone, call your ISPs, and complain. You're paying for internet service for them to deliver the services you so choose to consume. They should not be holding Netflix and YouTube and all these other groups hostage and trying to make them pay peering arrangements. It's really, mafia tactics. They want their cake and they want to eat it too. They are now becoming the true trolls and erecting toll roads on the internet, as net neutrality would have abolished and not allowed to happen. So, of course, the FCC, the AT&T doesn't want net neutrality. Switching topics just a little bit, though. There is a movement. Oh, excuse me. Let me just back up. I had the articles out of order in the browser here, so I was like, where'd that one come from? So let's talk about why Netflix made this deal with the devil. Why they made this deal with Comcast. Well, much speculation. We've talked a little bit about on this show already, but a new hypothesis is coming out. Is that because Comcast is trying to buy Time Warner, they felt this is a good time to strike and negotiate a cheaper deal. Maybe such a cheap deal that they couldn't resist, because Comcast is trying to make sure that their acquisition of Time Warner flies through without any trouble. They don't want any bad press. So this is one of the things, and Netflix may have went down a drain pipe that they didn't want to go down, because they may be forced now to pay up on these other with these other ISPs. So we'll see where this leads. But Netflix has proposed, instead of paying for new interconnections, it could reduce congestion by working with the ISPs through a program it created called Open Connect, which would place Netflix hardware directly in data centers of big ISPs to ease the load of their networks. Now, for a while on dial-up, what happened during the breakup of Ma Bell's was that AT&T was in control of and AT&T and all the bells were in control of all the long-distance United States. You had no choice. When you picked up your telephone and you dialed 1, back in the day, your local bell controlled that. They charge what they want for long distance. But when they broke it up, they broke Ma Bell up, then basically AT&T, MCI, and Sprint were the big three that were competing for your dial 1 long-distance business. And what would happen is you would choose the carrier that you wanted. And what was forced upon the bells was that they had to allow either the vendor's equipment to go in their facilities, or that there was interconnect rules, or it went through their same switches and they had to pay an access fee. But basically they forced them. Now, the same thing has happened in certain instances with internet service providers. Time Warner in some cases has been forced by municipalities to allow, like Netflix, or not Netflix, Earthlink, or a variety of different other dial-up or semi high-speed internet providers to coexist in their facilities using some of their same lines. But what really has been prevented at this point is AT&T says, no, we don't want your computers in our facilities, because what that really does then is there's really no cost. If Netflix's gear is in the facility, they pay to access the facility, electricity, and pay for a little internet. What ends up happening then is that there's no backhaul. If you make a request to watch a movie, it comes from that Open Connect gear at your ISP. It doesn't have to backhaul all the way to California to the servers or wherever I know Amazon and Netflix uses Amazon Web Services. That's going to a data center on the East Coast or wherever to pull the video all the way from there to where you're sitting now. So, that's the big delta here. So AT&T, Verizon, Cablevision, they declined. Instead, they want this interconnection fee being paid. Again, they want this. So Netflix says, we'll put the gear in. We'll pay you fair market value to have the gear in your facilities so that we're not clogging up your pipes. We're not causing you bandwidth issues. We're not using more bandwidth than anyone else. We'll put it inside your network. And really, any of you that you may or may not know this, but if you know your neighbor's IP, and he's got a server set up, the interconnection speeds between your two machines is incredibly fast. If you set up some sort of peer-to-peer or some type of interconnect connection, FTP, whatever it may be, it's much faster than your rated modem speeds. It's an incredibly fast network. So there really is no load on the internal network. So again, Netflix is probably paying Comcast $12 to $20 million a year for the cost of doing business to make sure that their content is not slowed down. But what it really could have been solved was just let Netflix install gear on their facilities and pay that fee. But so they're extracting a toll because they can. So, but again, to deal with Netflix and Comcast may have been because of their merger. Apparently, there's an iOS 7 feature that everyone's saying is going to change the world. And it's something that has been implemented in iOS 7 that a lot of us probably don't know about. I surely didn't until today. There's a new download that's hit the Apple App Store. It's a messaging app called FireChat. Now, this is the new kind of app, and I found this over at coldofmac.com. It's a new kind of it's a new kind of app because it uses an iOS 7 feature called the multi-peer connectivity framework. So this app was developed by the crowdsourced connectivity provider OpenGarden, and this is their first iOS app. But what's curious is the multi-peer connectivity framework enables users to use Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, peer-to-peer connections to chat and share photos, even without an internet connection on your mobile device. But here's what's the really big deal. It can enable two users to chat not only with an internet connection, it can enable two users to chat not only without an internet connection, but also when they are far beyond Wi-Fi and Bluetooth range from each other. Connected with a clan of peer-to-peer users between one user and a faraway internet connection, it can wirelessly mesh the network together. And basically hop to hop through multiple phones and connections to get where it needs to go and then come back. This is pretty cool. It can also extend the internet connect to places where none exist, for example, a hotel basement, cave, or to rural areas where cell tower connections are non-existent. Again, it does this through the mesh networking capability inherent in the multi-peer connectivity framework with multiple users in the area. Now, FireChat can relay message just like the internet does from one node to another node. Again, not necessarily, it won't work at all times, but if someone's with an iOS 7 device close, it will. This is pretty cool. Now, Apple's AirDrop works in the same way, for those of you that didn't know that. But this is pretty cool. I got to get more up to speed on this. If any of you in the audience that have a good handle on multi-peer connectivity framework, I'd really love to talk to you more, or send me an email if you're an expert on this, and we'll get this dialed in a little bit. I really wasn't aware of this. I'm going to be trying this app and see how it works when I turn service off, and et cetera, et cetera. So we'll keep you advised. All right, Google has released a new Chromecast photo collage app, and it's pretty cool. It allows people to basically throw pictures up on the screen when your Chromecast is activated, and a group of people can do it together. You throw your kid's picture up, and the next person can throw their kids up, wedding pictures. You can just kind of collaborate together, and it's a good way for people to share photos when they're at a party and so forth. Now, what's interesting is Photo Wall will only be iOS. The Android version is going to be coming up available, so there'll be both an iOS and Android version of this app. So very, very cool. Watch the video on it. Pretty slick. When you guys see it, you're going to be excited to use it at parties and family gatherings and birthday parties and so forth. All right, Disney has purchased YouTube powerhouse Maker Studios for $500 million. This is big. Maker reportedly has 5.5 billion monthly views on YouTube, has 55,000 channels, but apparently Mickey wanted Maker. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out, because a lot of those folks that are with Maker are independent folks. And so I don't know if that means that Disney's now going to own those properties, or the arrangement that Maker has with those specific content producers. But this is a cool $500 million deal. But it's also could scale to $950 million should Maker hit an unannounced set of performance milestones. So this just goes to show you that Maker Studio is definitely, a YouTube house, publishing house. So it's curious to see Disney coming in and picking this up. So I don't know if they're trying to look for talent or how this is going to work, but we'll have to keep an eye on this. But congratulations to Maker Studio for the acquisition. About every 3 or 4 years, I have to replace my printer here in the studio. And it's largely not because the printer wears out. It's because where I live here in Hawaii, and I have an open, we don't run AC in the house. The windows are, windows are open, screens, and we get a lot of, for a better word, the red dirt here is really, really prevalent. And what seems to go first is the feeder. The feeder for the printer, you put it in, you want to make copies or scan a bunch of stuff. That seems the thing that goes the longest. Now, the current machine I've got has done pretty well. We've got a cover we put over it when we're not using it. So we do everything we can to preserve the guts to make sure they don't get too much red dirt in them. But really, just because of the environment here, and this studio has to get wiped down about once a month or it starts getting red, literally. And it's just in the air. All my neighbors have, nice green, luscious yards and everything, but it just carries in the air so far. It's not like regular dust that people get in their house. It's, it's red dirt. So, it's hard on electronics, but so I kind of in the mode, I know that maybe 6 months or so I'm going to have to pick up a printer. So I was looking at a new one that's out by HP that's pretty impressive. HP announced the OfficeJet Enterprise Color X555 single function color inkjet that is supposed to perform almost as good as a color laser jet. And so I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, how much is the ink in this thing going to cost? But really, I was surprised in this particular enterprise product, and it's not an inexpensive printer. So, don't plan on just going to Best Buy and picking this up because it's probably not going to be available there. But this thing will do, the black cartridge costs $109 and lasts 10,000 pages, or a penny a page. And then each 980 color cartridge costs $97 and lasts 6,600 pages, or just 1.5 cents per color per page. Now, when we go to trade shows and events, oftentimes I'll go to Kinko's, or actually it's not Kinko's anymore, it's FedEx print shop or whatever they used, the old Kinko's, it's now FedEx. And I'll turn in my, go there with my USB stick and, order 1,000 copies. And, the bill comes and you're like gasp and, you walk away with them taking half your life savings. At penny and a half per color page, that's pretty cheap. And I think that's cheaper than I could ever have it done at a print shop. So when you look at it that way, depending on how many print jobs you do a year, you may pay for this thing pretty quickly. But the X55 will be available April 1st. It's priced at $749 to $1,199, depending on how many trays you get with it. But they got an MFP version that's going to be the X585 that's going to be much better quality. It's going to cost anywhere from $1,900 to $2,700. So a little bit higher on the price end, but that MFP version, it's got some pretty cool technology in it. So if you're looking for a new office printer, you definitely want to check out this new line from HP, the X55 for small businesses, and for large businesses, the X585. So I think it's so cool what you can do with just some of the cheapo printers. I got a cheapo Canon printer that I took to a CES. I think it's $29 or something like that. And this thing had scan to folder. I mean, it was incredible, the features that little $30 Canon printer had. It didn't print very fast, but it shocked me what it was actually capable of doing. Okay, switching gears here a little bit. There's some concern out there, and if you're not a parent yet, there's some disturbing news published in the Journal of Pediatric Infectious Disease Society. It's showing that kids are starting to become are basically resistant to a lot of the antibiotics out there. So there's resistant infections increasing in children. And so typical antibiotics, because they've been so overused by people have used antibiotics when they shouldn't be using antibiotics. It's caused all these bugs and stuff to become really hyper-resistant to medicines. And sometimes now doctors are limited to one or two choices of very powerful, very expensive drugs to try to cure infections. But there's a huge uptick in kids basically getting genetic markers and so forth passed down from their parents, where they're they're not going to be as treated as easily. So, this is some heavy science stuff, and I'm not going to get into the full stack on what they found here, but it's something that we should all be concerned about. So, be careful in the use of antibiotics out there, folks. It can have ramifications down the line in a big way. All right, Turkey has become the first nation to block Google DNS, and this is a big deal. So Turkish DNS servers are basically banned Google DNS. So those folks are trying to get to Twitter from Turkey are having more trouble, and it shows about the connection drop and everything that's going on here. So folks are trying to get there via Tor now and so forth. So the variety of ways they're trying to circumvent this. But definitely Turkey doesn't like Twitter. At least this one knucklehead over there doesn't. How many of you are thinking about picking up a watch, a smartwatch? There's a great there's a great selection of watches that are coming out from a variety of different companies. The Verge got their hands on a picture of the LG G Watch, and it looks kind of almost like the Pebble a little bit. You guys know that that I've got a Pebble here, and been using it for a while. I love it because I can look at text messages when they come in without looking at my phone. But this G Watch by LG is soon to make itself on the scene here in quarter two. So keep you advised on that. Hey, one thing is kind of odd tonight is Flash has crashed. That happens once in a while on Chrome. I don't know what the deal is with that. So you have to close the browser and restart it to get it to pick up. So if I show you guys stuff on the screen and you're seeing the sad face of black boxes that don't have nothing in it, just be aware it's because Flash has crashed on Chrome here. Hey, Google Now has rolled out to desktop versions of Chrome. So as you upgrade Chrome in the next, or it gets updated automatically here soon, you're going to start seeing some of those Google Now notifications basically show up on your screen. And that's something that they've added to it. So that's kind of cool. So, basically you can get flight information, your schedule information, and a little pop-up set of those little reminders that basically keeps you from having to log into your calendar or log into your airline, basically to check your flight and so forth. So very, very cool stuff. All right, Ars has got a article. Ars Technica has an article about a new system. Now, this is going to kind of gross you guys out, that tracks and zaps flies with a laser to change behavior. Now, why they wanted to do this, I'm not 100% sure. It's pretty impressive. I'm going to let you guys watch the video. Definitely have the link up in the show notes. You want to watch the video. And basically what they do is they have flies, and what they were using an example of was a male and female fly. And the male fly keeps coming over to near the female fly, and they zap it with a laser. And I guess this laser is at such a setting that it doesn't fry the fly, but it basically annoys him enough that he walks away from the female. And every time he comes by, they laze him again. And then after a number of times doing this, they quit lazing the fly. And then when the female, and this is basically they're doing this in a jar, so they're not like flying around. So when the female walks over to where the male fly is, the male fly now is scared and he runs away. I hope they don't figure out how to do this with the human population, but some sickos definitely had some fun here experimenting on flies, and it's kind of weird why they would build a laser based, and it tracks the fly. The fly walks in, and the laser hits it. They can set parameters on how far away from another fly, or if they cross a line, all kinds of just crazy stuff with a laser, and they are able to nail these flies just with incredible precision. And you see the video, you're just going to shake your head. What this is going to lead to in technology, I don't know, but keep the thing away from me and my wife. All right, the FCC is moving ahead with a proposal to allow spectrum sharing. Chairman Wheeler will soon float a proposal to experiment with sharing spectrum in the 3.5 gigahertz band We know that the mobile folks have been screaming bloody murder that they need more spectrum. So they're going to have a two-sided auction of spectrum now controlled by U.S. television stations, and basically they're going to share them. So the 3.5 megahertz band will be designated as an innovation band. Of course, 3.5 gigs right now is also being used by radar systems. So I'll be curious to see how this all interacts, if there's interference and so forth. But this will be the first time they're doing a flexible licensing sharing auction, I guess, for a better word. All right, moving on here. Ducati, knew this was coming. I think we've talked about this before, but crash a specific model of a Ducati motorcycle, and an airbag goes off in the suit you're wearing. So this is pretty cool. Riding gear with airbags are one of the greatest safety innovations for motorcyclists since body armor. So basically, Ducati and Dynes have teamed up to create a specially equipped version of the multi-strada equipped with passive safety system. Basically, this thing is smart enough to know if you've departed your motorcycle within 45 milliseconds, it boom blows your airbag, or if you've had an accident, or if you've acceleration issues, all these things that would show that you're about to depart the motorcycle or you're crashing, deploys the airbag. Now, I've never seen how the airbag looks in this suit and what it does to how big it blows up to protect the rider, but pretty slick stuff. Do you go bouncing down the street? All right, Apple also wants to bypass net neutrality for its own streaming video services, and they're talking with Comcast as well. Remember we were talking about putting equipment. Netflix wants to put equipment in Comcast's data centers. Well, Apple wants to do the same thing. They don't want to have to pay backhaul costs, so they want to put equipment just like Netflix does in data centers with the ISPs. Will Apple having more success? Who knows? But we know that their negotiations have tried to do just that with their upcoming Apple TV update. The Verge is claiming someone has finally made a better case for the iPad mini than Apple. So if you've got an iPad mini and you're not happy with the case, I'll have a link up in the show notes to allow you to go over to The Verge and check out this this cool, as they claim, the pad. They call it the Surface Pad. Surface Pad for iPad mini. And there's some photos on there and so forth. It does look pretty innovative. They've got different ways to mount it, set it up, tilt it, and so forth. So I'll have the link up in the show notes for you to check that out. In New Zealand, Kimcom is basically picking up a company that is about ready to go broke, and they're doing a reverse merger so that he can get his mega upload site, his new company, or his mega site, not mega upload, but his mega site, to be publicly listed. And they basically are doing a reverse merger to basically get themselves in the stock market. So the way a lot of Chinese companies are getting into the stock market is by doing reverse mergers, and they go into simply almost defunct companies and bring their cash with them. Instead of it's kind of weird because the companies don't have no money to buy them, so they bring their cash and whatever they do, they reverse stock split, and it's a bunch of hocus pocus. But that's how they get listed. That's how our competitor, the Chinese company Fab Universal, they bought Libsyn, which was part of Wizard, did a reverse merger into Libsyn. Fab Universal brought their money because Wizard was bleeding money like crazy, according to their stock reports. Did a reverse merger to get on the stock market, and so that's how Wizard and Libsyn become owned by Chinese companies. It's crazy stuff on what companies do now to get in the U.S. market. But he's doing the same thing in the New Zealand stock exchange. Kim.com is. Switching topics, a judge has rejected a warrant application because he thinks none is needed. So the police actually went to a judge to apply for a warrant to search an individual's cell phone. And the judge says, you don't need a warrant because of several different things. He claimed that the phone had been abandoned. And because the phone was abandoned, the police could search it any way they please without a warrant. A lot of people are taking issue with this, but this is an interesting deal because this judge's decision puts the government in a bind. Under his ruling, the police cannot get a warrant, but if they search a phone without a warrant, they run a serious risk that a future court will rule that the judge's prediction was wrong and they should have attained a warrant, and guess what? The case will be thrown out. So kind of an interesting move here. We'll see where this leads, but a lot of people think that the judge should have actually signed the warrant. But a lot of lines being blurred here on the privacy when it comes to cell phones, your personal property. And, if the police want to search your phone and they have a probable cause, they can go to judge and get a warrant. The warrant says, yes, go ahead, search the phone. We all can agree with that. But, the guy that they were chasing wasn't necessarily a good guy, but people are just concerned about this judge's application of the law. It's just a lot of gray area going out there. At some point, probably end up in the Supreme Court. All right, so article over on CNET has got a pretty cool science and health topic. Can aspirin prevent heart attacks? Well, doctors are testing a device that may know the answer. Fluid dynamics is big right now in science, and they're using fluid dynamics to simulate blood flow through a narrowed coronary artery, and researchers can watch the effects of anti-clogging drugs, not just aspirin, but different types of medicines. The prototype is called a microfluidic device, and it's being tested down in Georgia Tech. But they feel that they're going to be able to really learn more about blood clots and be able to figure out treatment regimens for patients at risk. So this is pretty cool. Doctors have a lot of drug options, and many times they have a hard time determining what to do. But by building these prototypes and use cases, it could be very, very big way to for them to kind of figure out what the best regimen is, and hopefully reduce the amount of drugs people are using, because people take, I think 10% of the United States population takes a drug for either high blood pressure or blood thinning or something to that effect at some time in their life. A Florida judge, though, has ruled IP addresses cannot identify a BitTorrent pirate. Florida District Judge George Ursula Ungaro has dismissed a lawsuit brought by Malibu Media against an alleged BitTorrent pirate. Malibu Media explained that they geolocated the download site and verified that the IP address was residential rather than public Wi-Fi hotspot. The judge reasoned that the plaintiff had not shown how this geolocation software could establish to identify the defendant. He says even if this IP address is located within a residence, the geolocation software cannot identify who has access to the resident's computers and who would actually be using it to infringe the plaintiff's copyright. So he threw this out. This is not the first of a kind, but we can see that the tide has turned just a little bit, folks. It really has. All right. If you were bidding on that Apollo moon camera, it went for 660,000 euros or 910,000 US dollars. So there was a little bit of questioning too on this camera's often being authentic, and but still sold for that kind of money today. So shows you that the moon stuff is hot. Hey, U.S. Russian crew is launching the space station on Tuesday. $70 million. The U.S. taxpayer dollars are forking over to for the American astronaut to hitch a ride. Even though the ongoing issues with the, I guess for a better word, the challenges we're having with Vladimir Putin right now, I guess is not going to change anything with the space shots. So $70 million to the Russians today to send one of our astronauts to the International Space Station. Yet we're still probably 3 years away from being able to resume lift of our own astronauts by American vehicles. Over on Gizmodo, we'll talk just a second about a denial of service attack taking out a major online chat service. The popular group chat system Campfire is currently being nailed by a denial of service attack, which is also at the same time a blackmailing event. Hackers are trying to extort money from the provider, basically saying, we'll stop the denial of service attack if you pay the cash, and they're refusing to negotiate. So 37 Signals, the company behind Campfire Basecamp and other products, posted the following to its blog. So criminals have laid siege to our networks using what's called a distributed denial of service attack starting at 8:46 Central Time. The goal is to make Basecamp and the rest of our services unavailable by flooding the network with bogus requests so nothing legitimate can come through. This attack was launched together with a blackmail attempt that sought to have us pay to avoid this assault. And they said, no, we're not paying. So they're warning their customers this could be an extended delay. I had to take a shot of water here for those of you that are listening. Alaska's going to make drone-assisted hunting illegal. So you can't find out where the moose are at or where the deer are at or where the bears are at with a drone. You have to basically get on your 2 feet and get out there and find those animals. So they're drawing some legislation, and they feel that they're going to make it illegal by July 1st. In investment news, Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and a certain celebrity have invested in a secretive AI firm. It's called Vicarious. The SpaceX billionaire and the Facebook founder took part in a $40 million funding round, the second major cash raising for the firm in the last 2 years. The actor who played Steve Jobs, of course, that is Ashton Kutcher, also invested through his fund A-grade investments. So 40 mil laid out for this company, Vicarious. So these are not smart. These are not stupid guys. So there's something going on with this company. But 40 million on a second round. iTunes Radio has gotten a new radio let me say that again. iTunes Radio gets news radio via NPR. So we know when iTunes Radio launched last fall, the service was designed for music fans and music labels. Now it's branching out. National Public Radio is adding the first news station to Apple's audio streaming service, with more on the way. It'll be a 24-hour news station from NPR. If you're working in the IT business, there's a great article talking about how AMD basically made the switch from Oracle database to Hadoop. And if you're familiar with what Hadoop does, Hadoop, this is a big news. And essentially what's going on here is Oracle starting to get squeezed. You know, they are a company that has just made cash hand over foot. But with all these open source type of projects and services being made available, Oracle's starting to see some pressure here. So those of you that are in IT space interested in that, I'll have the link up for you. China has demanded clear explanation from the United States on NSA's Huawei infiltration. Chinese companies like Huawei and ZTE apparently are upset that maybe the United States was snooping around in their networks. Doesn't China have like a whole building full of hackers that do nothing but do corporate espionage on American companies? I got two things to tell the Chinese. So we'll leave it at that. And those of you who are watching the video, I was not giving the thumbs up. Screw China when it comes to that. Tough. A little taste of their own medicine. Back at them. All right, Grubhub IPO could value online food delivery firm at $1.72 billion. Grubhub expects initial public offering for 7.03 million shares at $20 to $22 per share, valuing the U.S. online food delivery service provider at $1.72 billion. So, of course, we know Grubhub handles pickup and delivery orders for restaurants online and via the phone. Said it will sell 4 million shares in the offering. The rest are being offered by stockholders. So very, very cool stuff here. And Grubhub had 28,800 restaurants, 3.4 million active user network as of December 31st. So a way to get some more cash into their coffers. And those of you that are still BlackBerry fans, are there any of you left? Do I hear crickets? Is anyone actually still using a BlackBerry that's listening to the show? But the leak is showing that BlackBerry is working on a rival to Siri. There's a video on it if you want to check it out. Link will be up in the show notes. Ray-Ban and Oakley are now working with Google Glass. Of course, I ordered my prescriptions with the limited offering they had, and now they're going to have Ray-Ban and Oakley. Come on, guys. You know, I wear, these are Oakleys. The glasses I'm wearing are Oakleys. So they've made a deal with them. Oh, man, it really makes me mad because, you know, the Oakley and Ray-Ban frames are going to be a lot cooler than the 5 or 6 that they made available. So I guess, you know, another couple $100 for frames and lenses for sure. All right, Seattle Taxi Association sues Uber for unlawful and deceptive business practices. The Western Washington Taxi Cab Operators Association suing Uber, the app-based transportation company, for operating illegal in Seattle and King County in Washington State. You know, get over it. Times are changing. I've got an app for that. Taxi companies are going to have to evolve and get more creative. You know, it's this is time for them to understand that they're going to go the way of the dinosaur if they don't. So, come on, get with the deal here. Do you use GitHub? Are you a developer? Apparently 10,000 GitHub users inadvertently revealed their AWS secret access key. This is bad. Bad. Your secret access key is just like having keys to a car. They can launch new services and really spend a lot of money on your credit card. You get this big bill and it says, hey, you were using a bunch of services this month. You said, no, I wasn't. Well, if they've got your secret access key, there's nothing to stop them. Those of you that want to build a cheaper, customizable alternative to the Apple Mac Pro, great article over on lifehacker.com talking about making a Hackintosh and some sites that are specifically basically focused on this. And there's some good links in here, good information. So I'll have that up for you to take a look at as well. All right, that's going to bring us to the end of the regular content tonight. Let's see what we have in email. I didn't even have it loaded, so let me load Mozilla Thunderbird. And we'll wait for it to load up. And let me click on the right folder here. Today is March 24th. The last show was on the 20th. Oh, you guys don't love me. I think for the first time ever, we don't have an email for the show. Okay, well, that makes it easy. Easy peasy to get out of here. Hey, everyone, thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the HANA. Thanks for supporting the show. Thanks for your ongoing support. And if you have comments on today's podcast, geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter @geeknews. You can follow me in G+ and on Facebook as well. I have a link in the blog posting today for the show. But until next time, everyone, thanks for being here. We'll see you on Thursday. Till next time, take care and aloha. Those on YouTube, see you later.